Welcome back to Stasis Geek. Went to see yesterday the epic tale, the masterpiece, as they're calling it, of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, based on Homer's The Odyssey. Now, based. Now, this is where, because I know the story, I'm no scholar, I will make mistakes. Is if you know nothing about Homer, nothing about the Iliad or the Odyssey, nothing about the Trojan War, never seen any of the miniseries, the book, like the cartoons, the novelizations, the TVs to movies or whatever that have come before this movie, did it make sense? Because the path made it feel a bit odd to me, because they did the Odyssey as Hollywood, their main source is Wikipedia, and then they cherry-picked, and then they discarded. Because this is, under a 3-hour movie, but it should be a trilogy, 12 hours, to get most of it fit in. Because they remove the gods, even though you have Zendaya as Athena, I think she's supposed to be. But is she? Because there's a bit at the end, you're like, is it? Is it not? So that, but them playing as you have actors as the gods, and they're having this grand moment in Olympus. No, you don't have any of that. You don't have any of the interactions with the god at all. So you're taking that out. Okay, you got some nymphs. They don't make as nymphs. They like Circe. They do as a kind of a witch character, and then Calypso. Again, they don't really get that because they take out the lotus eaters and give the lotus flower to her, but they don't explain her background, just that she has a flower. So they don't care about that. So I was wondering, if you don't know about it, is it a bit, this is a bit odd. What I don't get who these people are. But let's go by the movie. Now, from the first two trailers, let's go by what I thought when announcements, they're doing the Odyssey. Yay, Christopher Nolan, yay! And then I saw the first two trailers and I was a bit, they're a bit of a letdown. Then the third trailer, I was like, ooh, that's a bit more interesting. That's got my hopes up. So I went in this, I suppose, mid-range, kind of expecting to be hopefully pleasantly surprised. Now, if you get the things that you like about this movie, and only the things you like about this movie, you start at 5. I always do this. And then you start adding up. You're going to get to an 8 out of 10, let's say that. But then you have to take into account all the things that are bad about this movie. And then you start deducting it quite a way. I'm not going to give my score on this review. That's for Film Club, of course. But let's go by the things I liked. You know, Matt Damon is playing Matt Damon, but he's doing a good Odysseus. I must say that. He's doing it really well. The dialogue is awful for him, but he's playing it a good standard level. Nothing epic, but things. The best is Anne Hathaway. She is really good to Penelope. So them two are really good. The only part is the dialogue, because her little speech, kind of what she's having an interaction with the beggar, Odysseus, is terribly written. So that's it. The fight scenes and how they look is quite good. You know, they look like good choreography fight scenes. Then you just go by what is bad. The colour palette that Nolan's used for this, and it's his look. He loves that blue filter, and then he's got this yellowish orange, like he does his grainy filter, I'm guessing you put on it. It's awful. I don't like it. You're supposed to be set in Greek. The only time it works in this movie, and we'll get to it, is Hades. And it looks like a good palette because it's supposed to be dark. And it has that... It would be good to have bright, and then that moment of like really grainy and Nolan effect. It overexposes it too much in this. But the problem with it is the cinematography. Is because of, I'm guessing, the constraints of the IMAX filming, they edit it in such a way that you're focusing on one dialogue session, and then they have to quickly change the angle. There's no point to it. There's like this editing weird cut, and I'm guessing they were like, cut, we're going to change. We're going to have to do that, and make it look so it looked like it fits. So the editing for me is they've done the best they could, but it's still a bit weird. But the worst thing in this movie, and I could see it in people in the cinema, is the music. The music is one of the... It's probably the most atrocious music for the pitch, for the timings of when it comes in. It's atrocious, and it's too booming. They did this booming effect to make you go, look, something epic, when it's not epic on the screen, because you like it's a bit dragging sometimes. So they give this I could see people in the cinema doing this. You should never have that. You should never have people going, oh, this is awful, what's going on? So yeah, way too loud, and just off-putting. It makes it off-putting because you're like, I'm just now distracted. I'm taken out of the film. The other element that is really bad, and it's very hard not to see it because it's there, is the costume design. It's absolutely like Penelope, the Queen. It just looks a bit lackluster what they tried to do. Like diminish her to this minor queen, but then give her crap to wear. It looks awful. The Greek army look atrocious. But then there's the Trojan army. With the fall of Troy, you get one when they get in the close up is when you get Sinon is there, and we get to those in a minute. What were they thinking? It looks atrociously. It's just what it puts you out, and this is where Nolan done it wrong because he didn't give me an epic. I suppose, masterpiece of a period of time. They did it as modern dialogue, and then you cosplayed everybody. Like Egan Menmon's, like him coming out when they opened the doors at the doors of Troy, the gates of Troy, or whatever. Yeah, they're trying to do this like, I don't know, corridor Star Wars moment. Is very odd, and he's like, they've made it and they've shot it so he looks like he's 8 foot. It's just so bad. You're like, oh no, and it looks like he's the cosplay leader. That is it. Yeah, they tried to make him, I don't know, like a Darth Vader. Very, very weird, and just weird. And I'm taken out, and there's too much of it taken out. But if we go by the flashback scenes, I don't know why they did so much of it. So you get the fall of Troy. There's just too much of it. I'm guessing it's because they wanted people who didn't know anything about the story to understand what was going on. Because if they did it with we're getting lost at sea, I can get a lot of people getting confused. But then they had too much flashback for me, anyway. And they didn't make it epic enough. The fall of Troy needs to be boom. It looked okay. Got some fire, got some buildings coming down. But where other movies do, and how to make it epic is we're panning out. We're having that. We're having the IMAX filter. We're having that. We can't do anything else. We can't get on a crane. We haven't got enough time because you needed that pan out and like a zoom, like a continuous movement to make it look like it's, it's this epic battle, this epic invasion of Troy that everybody's falling. It's not good. Or you make it from a point of view of Odysseus. They didn't even do that. It's a shame because if you're going to try and reenact the fall of the sacking of Troy, you need to make that epic, especially if you're just doing it as a flashback. Saying that, if you go through the journey of Odysseus, they cut out a lot, and you can't. My brain wells and swells. It's needed because of the editing and the production process but for me, it lets it down. You have the Lotus Eaters that completely ignore. And then you get, and I'm going to have to go out of sequence because my brain is the sequence of the books and the movie does whatever. It takes out, so I'm going to have to remember bits. And remember, I'm not a scholar. But then they get to the Cyclops. And yeah, the Cyclops, I don't like how they portrayed him, just the look as well, with the side eye and the kind of weird twisted nose, and then knowing it's the creation of Poseidon. It's Poseidon's child, and it's what he, to his eyes, it's the most beautiful child. And then having him not have the interaction because with Odysseus, and they just kind of, not spoiler, but spoiler, I suppose, they just stab him in the eye, and then he they go, oh, he shouted out to his father on the boat afterwards. They escape. It's a bit lackluster. You think it should be this, ooh, we're seeing it, and all they're doing is to get rid of the crew, make the crew diminish quickly. So you get that, and then what do we go on? Because we miss a bit, I can't remember. And then we get, in the movie, we go to the giants, and they don't explain the tree movements. You will watch this, and if you don't know nothing about it, you're like, the giants are too small, I think. And then they get to, like, it's the manipulation of, looks like they do it by camera angle, and they don't explain it, and then they don't explain it. And they show it, but very subtly, and then they don't explain it. So that is a bit odd. And then it's just done. But they get rid of the crew, another two of them. So they get that done, and then you get to Circe. Now, this was good, but wrong. And I mean it was good but wrong, because I couldn't work out how they were going to do the pigs. If you don't know, they get to Circe, they eat or drink. I think it's drink. I think they drink a potion of hers, and they get turned into pigs. And this one, they do it as like they're chopping away, and then she manipulates them into animals. You've got other animals on the island. She's a nymph in the book, and she tries to in this one as well, like Odysseus comes late, and he in the I can't remember, it's Apollo gives him a potion to counteract the effects, and then he tricks her, but then she falls in love with him, and I believe they have a kid, so that's completely missed. But I'm guessing they're trying to make Odysseus, of course, with Penelope, that he didn't fall around. He's ancient Greek, just want to say. But so they did that, and I liked it. I didn't mind that thing, because I didn't think they were going to do it well. Could it be an epic, because you got, of course, the nymph there, and it's going to be more grand because of the god situation as well surrounding the whole island. They don't. So that, and again, it's quickly done because we needed to move on to the next one. Then we have more flashbacks when we have Tom Holland, of course, playing the son. The American accents in this is the problem as well, one of this movie, because you got Tom Holland doing this neutral American accent, Robert Pattinson, of course, doing one, but Tom Holland can't do one, and he's very doing Tom Holland, and his dialogue is terrible, but he does it mid. You can't blame him, he's just doing it well. But when we have American accents doing the American accents, and they're doing the strong American accents, it puts you off. Except for Matt Damon and Anne Hathaway, who realizes we're gonna have to act. The rest are just turning up. So we get the journey, and I can't remember where it is in the movie, but then we get him to go to Menelaus after the suitors are there, and he's getting pissed off with the suitors or that. So we got that interaction between seeing Penelope, that bit going on, and then the journey of Odysseus going home. But when he goes to Menelaus, we get Helen of Troy. Now we're gonna have to, because the production company have done it for us and aggravated most people on why did they introduced Helen as she is, and then you got Sinon, and we'll go into Elliot Page as well. But let's go for Helen of Troy. Why are you? Let's go by that, because you've done it to aggravate because of the two trailers. Now, in the movie, we're looking at sisters. We're looking at twin identical sisters, like that. So identical twins. Now, they're not in the book. Now, it's weird. Swan having sex with a swan, getting two eggs inside of you, and then one of them is Helen of Troy, and one of her is her half sister, because she had then, after having sex with Zeus, went on to have sex with her own husband, and then impregnated one of the. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I get it. It's weird, and they're not going to portray that, and that's in the Iliad at least. But they do that in a way in this that the screen time is that, and it's not needed, and the acting is atrocious, absolutely atrocious. No need for it. Dialogue is awful, and it's bad. It just looks bad. It just takes you out. So why did they do it? they did it to aggravate. Red flags get people talking about it, because with was it Simon or Sinan? I can't remember. With Elliot Page, they do it as a farm boy, I think, and then he has to be put there to kind of for the Trojan horse, as well, like that is. To say that it is an offering to the gods, and gets killed and goes to Hades. It was a trick by Odysseus, but he had to get that. The acting is fine, but the screen time is that. Like when we get to see back in Hades later, it's good. I didn't mind the scene. It was just pointless. The scenes are okay. That. Now, did Nolan do it because he likes working with the same actors? Fair play. Fair play to you. If you like working with the same actors in the same movies, fair play to you. You're the director and you can pick your cast the best way you can. But if you're introducing that new characters and then not establishing them into the movie because of a setup that you wanted to do, an Oppenheimer effect, I suppose you want to call it, with Odysseus feeling sorry that he did this, his trick with the horse ended and sacked Troy and he killed loads of people. Pointless. If you did Helena Troy and you did it with that, why did you need to do it? Because the screen time in the Odyssey is not in the Iliad. So why did you do it? You did it to aggravate. Now you did it to only one or two things. Is you aggravated part of a fandom that you thought was there, and then to up another bit of a fandom, or you did it to people will like Nolan, people don't like Nolan. Or, as it seems to be for me, you did it to get an Oscar because you're ticking boxes, because you're not make it an epic dialogue, make it an epic scenes. You're not really doing it. You're not creating their position in the movie to lift it or drive the story forward. So, a bit pointless. So, yeah, you did what you wanted to do, is aggravate certain portions of your audience that probably then won't go and see it. Does it diminish the movie? No, it doesn't. Does it improve the movie? No, it looks odd. But is that the worst casting? No, it's not. The casting choice throughout this movie is the crew of Odysseus, because they just look odd. It looks odd because they didn't go, I'm supposed to be in Greece. Oh, ancient Greece. And then, yeah, let's have a look around at my people. Where are you from? Where are you from? God, it must have taken you thousands of miles to get here. And then you ended up going on the Trojan War. Yeah, it rolls back now and again. So, okay, that's whatever. You chose it. It's going to piss off people. It took me out multiple times because you're like, oh, and if you're going to do it, make sure the actors are bloody good and they've earned their part. If they're going to do it, give them something to play with, because you didn't. You changed the dialogue, felt flat because you're using your source of Wikipedia. That's it. So then we're moving on to the movie. We're moving through it. And I said, I'm going to have to use member and brain. So you got what we got now. We just left. So we're now Wellport. No, we don't know. What's next? I can't remember if it's the Wellpool, because we got the Sirens. Yeah, and we got Sirens things. Okay, they do it just because people have heard of it, but they don't do the next bit with the mass murder, kind of like that. So, by accidentally, if anybody here, the Sirens. Any human that hears the Sirens song and survives, they die. Odysseus didn't know that. So, imagine him sailing a watch and watching them perish. That's that. Then we get the Wellpool. I can't remember if we're doing the Wellpool next. And then you got the beast and So the nymph told him, to go to Hades. That's it. Then we go back. We're going to Hades to get home. And then you got it's okay. You got Agamemnon again. Looks a bit crap. I like the look. This is the only time the filter looked good. I thought the scene looked dark enough, but kind of you could see the characters. I like this scene. It reminded me of the Northman a little bit, but I didn't mind it. I thought it looked good. Yeah, I like this scene. I thought it was one of the better ones. But they give a task, of your crew's going to die because they're going to Apollo's island. Don't eat. They're going to eat the herd there. If they don't eat the herd, they might survive. But it's inevitable. It's fate, I suppose you want to call it. Move on to that. Then they get to the whirlpool. Is like you got a choice. Everybody dies, or 6 of them dies from the. I can't remember the monster's name, and I never can. I can never remember it. But I the 6-headed monster. I don't know what they did with the CGI. It was quite fast. I give you that. Things like that. But I don't get the look. They look like slug monsters' heads. The only way I could put it, but grey. And it was really like, I don't know if they tried to do it where it's in the rock formation. It's a bad choice, I just thought. I thought it'd be a bit more elaborate, like a bit more. Give me some colour. They didn't. Okay, move on. Because it's moved on quite quickly in the movie. Then you get to that, and then we get to the Apollo's island where do not eat. Of course, Poseidon, what they kind of loosely think is helping him stay there. Again, this part of the whole journey feels like weeks. It's been 3 years, roughly. So it just doesn't feel gritty enough. Like some epic bits that they should have had, and with except for the jarring music, where they are at sea and there's rough seas, you get better from older movies. And I mean older movies when they can do CGI, not old movies, but when you got like The Perfect Storm, or you got parts of like Castaway, they've made it look like you're alone. You are in the middle of nowhere and help isn't coming. In this, they do again, I'm guessing because of the constraints of IMAX filming, they don't make it look epic. They just don't. So it's a bit of a letdown on sea bits, even at the end when Poseidon finally gets his revenge. I'm going to get on the crew. Yeah. So we get that. We get then Apollo. Again, we're not seeing the gods. You're getting mentioned of them, but there's the consequences. What? They don't believe in the consequences. Now, in that time period, and we know from the books, you're in the crap. If you do it, you're in the crap. You're taking a risk. You're spiting one god to appease another god. You're going to piss off because they have their favourites. Then, to be honest, the gods are a bit of knobs. They're a couple of knobs. They play around with fate. So, yeah, you got that. And then they kind of just move it on. And then you get back to kind of Menelaus and Tom Holland, being Tom Holland, going back. And then, yeah, there's a ploy to kill him when he comes back. And, of course, Odysseus is getting way there. But, of course, it's the time jumps of this because we got the 7 years with Calypso. What is not explained, they make her that she's got the lotus flower and she's the lotus eater and she's kept him there 7 years. And this is where they do it as he's telling the story, because I'm remembering when we get the flashbacks of Troy, sacking of Troy. They don't explain what actually happened because I'm guessing Hollywood went, you can't have that because it's a 15. They don't want to explain what Calypso did. So, yeah, move it on because it's, again, they could have just cut it all out. They could have cut that whole interaction out with Calypso. Because if you're not going to make it a time period, because all you do is a de-age, I suppose you want to call it, Matt Damon now. Don't put so much makeup on him and give him a grey beard. That is all they do. And then you kind of just move on. And then the big letdown is the massacre. The massacre. That should have been a massacre. They change it again. So Odysseus' son he can't break Zeus's law. Zeus's law is always through this movie, is if somebody comes to your house, you've got to feed them and make sure they're okay. You can't kill them or you'll be exiled. There is exiled of Odysseus, not in Homer's. Not in the Odyssey. It is later, further down the books by other writers. And it's only to appease Poseidon, really. So in this one, they do, again, it's the Oppenheimer effect. They try to make out he's so guilty, he needs to appease, I don't know, his guilt, and that's it. But when they get there, it's just a bit 20 years, okay. And Penelope doesn't know by the look, by the sound of his voice, that's my husband. Yeah, it's a bit weird. In the book, of course, they changed the look. Yeah, so he's completely disguised by the gods. In this, no. And then the massacre is that should have been all three of them doing the massacres. Not Penelope, but his helper, his mentor. Not that mentor in the movie. The other who didn't go to Troy. They are supposed to. It's brutal. It's literally Red Wedding, Game of Thrones times 10. And then on this, they made it look like a choreography. They tried to do like a John Wick, but with a bow and arrow. Let's go by that. And it felt a bit flat because it had to be brutal. It had to be a massacre. It had to be, blood boiling, want to be sick watching it kind of moment, but in an epic tale. It didn't do it. So it's a shame. And I don't get where this... some people have said that it's crying, like the actors. Oh, it made you cry at the end. Really made you cry. Where? Because it's a bit bland. And that's it. And then of course at the end Odysseus with Penelope excels themselves, I suppose you want to call it. And then his son becomes king. See an end. Yeah. Just a bit of a letdown. That's all I say. So it is very much a movie for Hollywood to do Hollywood interpretation of things. That's it. Is it the worst movie that kind of butchers something? No. But is it supposed to be faithful? I never thought they were going to be. But did they do it in such a way that kind of put me out of it? No. But is it good? No. It's just a bit, and it just falls a bit flat. So there's too much bad to be good, because you can't be faithful in under 3 hours. You're not going to be. So if you want to read something epic, the Iliad and the Odyssey. They do it better in like B movies and B miniseries. Sorry, they do. Not having the gods is a big issue for me, especially when you played on it on the trailers and they don't really. The flashbacks are too much. The American voices are too much. The costume design is too poor. The music is atrocious. And then when the dialogue is just too modern, it's... Hi, AI. Can you take Homer's Odyssey and can we make it modern language? Yes. Yeah, great. Thank you. That's it. But then miss out loads and cut loads out. Your constraints are because you made it under 3 hours. So is it going to win Oscars? 100% this will win Oscars because you did enough to make it win an Oscar. This will be a movie forgotten about. It will get good scores. It will do. It will get mid reviews. It will get people... mostly shouting because of they're gonna say any negative is because of the tick boxes, but that's what Nolan and the production company blatantly put in there for that reason, to get people talking about it. There's no other reason for it, because Helena Troy, bad acting, Sinon, good acting, pointless. That's it. So everything else, yeah, it's just a bit flat. So for me, I just want to know if you've not seen, as I said, Homer or anything, blah, 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 blah. Let me know in the comments, because that'd be interesting. You'd be like, no, it actually runs smooth for me. But my head, or if you're a scholar of Homer, what did you think? Or were you disappointed? Or did it not actually care that they just did it? It was good to see. Was it a fun movie for me? I felt a bit bored in places. That's it. A bit too... If I start moving in a 3-hour movie, well, I think I was more interested in my popcorn and watching people go, the music went, we're going to be loud and atrocious. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts, as always, in the comments. For now, go watch Film Club, because there's going to be some epic discussions in that. For now, bye-bye.